Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Yoki.
And I'm Dr. Lu.
Welcome back. So today we're going to be talking all about COVID-19 vaccine. We actually have both already received the vaccine, so we're going to be talking about any symptoms that we've had and just our general thoughts about it.
And before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe to our video so you can see more of our content in the future. Let's get started.
The UK medicines regulator has approved the Oxford AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine.
There are vaccines, of course, but not as many as promised, and no centralized plan to actually get them into people's arms.
The slow rollout of the coronavirus vaccines across the U.S.
Don't over here. I'll move my hands. Okay, pinch.
Ready?
Go.
Thank you so much.
How did it feel? Okay.
Thank you. You're not in the video.
I know.
Thank you.
All right, honey. Take a deep breath.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi everyone. So it's the day after getting my vaccine, and so far I've only had about 3 symptoms. Yesterday night this started. My arm was hurting really badly, and it was hard to kind of lay on it at night to go to sleep. And then this morning, I had difficulty with, raising my arm because it was in a lot of pain. But now that I'm at work, my pain is much better. It's actually resolved. And I also felt very tired, not like myself. But again, that's already a little bit better now that I'm at work. And the fatigue wasn't really severe enough for me to not come into work. Hi everyone, I'm at home. It has been such a long day. I didn't even have that much work to do, but I just felt so tired all day, like no energy. And I felt really hot. And I checked my temperature in the afternoon, it was normal. But then I got home and then Dr. Lu checked my temperature again. And it was actually 100.4, so now I have a fever. So that means I'm probably gonna have to stay home from work tomorrow in order to recover. Despite having fever, significant fatigue, I still think this is way better than having COVID-19 and potentially spreading it to my family, some of whom have medical conditions. So I'm so grateful that science came through with this vaccine, and my fever and my fatigue is just evidence that the vaccine is working. It's getting my immune system prepared and ramped up so that when I do get the virus or encounter it, that I'll be protected. So this is really great news overall. So I know you guys are probably wondering why psychiatry residents are up first in order to get the vaccine. So at our hospital, management focused on trying to distribute the vaccine to those who are going to be working in the emergency department and intensive care unit first, because of course those staff are going to be the ones that are going to be most exposed to COVID-19. And actually, Dr. Lu falls within that category.
Yep, so as a PGY1, as an intern basically, we do 6 months of psychiatry and 6 months of non-psychiatry rotations, and one of those non-psychiatry rotations is actually a rotation in the ED. And one of my first shifts is actually in January, which is when the expected highest peak of COVID is expected to occur. So with that in mind, they felt that they should put me on as one of the first people to get the vaccine. And once they got through everybody that needed to be vaccinated before they start their shifts in January, they expanded it to include everybody who's going to have an ED shift in the year 2021 at all. So that's why Dr. Yoki ended up getting the vaccine after I did. So that's it. The needle was a little bigger than I expected, but overall, not a bad experience.
So how'd you feel like the next day?
I mean, it wasn't that bad. I felt like it was a regular vaccine. I felt a little tired afterwards. I felt the soreness in my arm. And maybe at most the tiredness and the fatigue might have been a little bit more than I expected, or more than a regular vaccine, but otherwise nothing that I would say would prevent me from deciding to get a vaccine, or nothing that makes me regret having gotten it in the first place.
And in all honesty, I'd rather kind of feel like that than to potentially get COVID-19, be on a ventilator, or even have a mild infection, which can last even up to 2 weeks. So it sounds like overall it's worth it.
You had slightly more fatigue though, didn't you?
Yes, so for me, I had kind of really severe fatigue, really severe arm pain, and then I also ended up having a fever. This was about 24 hours after I actually received the vaccine. But interestingly enough, day 2, I just snapped right back and I felt completely normal on day 2. And I'm now on day 4 and I still feel completely normal. So I'm so thankful that my side effects were very short-lived and last a very long time. So overall, that's much better than having COVID-19 for potentially 2 weeks or spreading it to family and all the risks involved with it.
Definitely. I mean, COVID-19 is a disease where you could end up intubated, you could have long-term chronic effects. There are some people who are saying that it can affect your ability to clot your blood. So obviously it's much better to have the vaccine where at most you might feel crappy for a day, or you might not feel great for a day, and then you're back to what you needed to do, and you have the added protection for the future for any potential COVID-19 exposures.
I know there's a lot of concern out there about the safety of the vaccine because it only took Moderna and Pfizer less than a year to actually develop and get the vaccine out there. But no steps to assure the safety of the vaccine were skipped. They did a really rigorous randomized controlled trial, and they actually enrolled a lot of volunteers, so we have a lot of data. And they actually showed that most common side effects were mild, similar to the flu. So fatigue, arm soreness, muscle pain, those were all the symptoms that people usually had if they had any symptoms from the vaccine. And again, that's not everyone. Only about 3% of people had side effects from the vaccine. So the numbers are actually really low.
And you can see these exact numbers in the links that we've provided in the description below. You can see the side effect profile for both the Moderna vaccine and the Pfizer vaccine. And then it'll also give you a breakdown on how many people or what proportion of people who were in the trial actually experienced some sort of side effect.
In addition, the papers actually showed from Pfizer and Moderna that the vaccine is 95% effective for the Pfizer vaccine and 94.1% effective for the Moderna vaccine, which means it prevents COVID-19 infection in 95 or 94% of people, which is great. That's a really high number. It's gonna make a really big impact in our society if enough people actually get the vaccine, and hopefully we can go back to what life used to be before the pandemic.
It's gonna take some time. The vaccine isn't a panacea to be able to go back to what quote-unquote normal is, but it's a step in the right direction. You know, as you all are aware, the vaccines will require a second dose, so 3 weeks for the Pfizer vaccine, 4 weeks for the Moderna vaccine. But there still needs to be a large number of people who are vaccinated before we can start to see the effects of the protection of the vaccine on the population at a larger scale. But for now, these are the steps in the right direction, and hopefully with time we can start to go back to the way things were. But it's gonna take some time.
So if you guys want any more information about the COVID-19 vaccine, please check our description box below where we link the CDC and other information that you can find about the vaccine.
Otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll come up with some new content every week.
All right, bye.
Take care, everybody.